Chris Lee and Blake Lovell here talking SEC basketball. Blake, the season is over for SEC teams, but the carousel of stuff never stops. Let's start with the McDonald's All-American game last night where the SEC had a really big presence in that contest.
Let me start off by saying this. Should not be that hard for me to find this box score for this McDonald's All-American game, but we've had some fun with that this morning.
And yet it is.
I have been looking for this box score. It's like I don't even know. Like it's lost at this point. Honestly, I don't even know.
If we gone back in a time warp to 1992?
I don't know. But if you work at the McDonald's All-American game and you have a box score laying around, can you please scan it?
If you work the drive-through at McDonald's and have a box score lying around, please scan it and send it to us. We're not that picky.
It's probably around somewhere, but I just can't find it. That aside, I know who the top scorers and stuff were, but I would really like to see the whole breakdown to give people a little bit more detail. That's why I'm going on a rant here. It's not just because I want to rant, but I know there are fans watching this that maybe didn't get a chance to watch the All-Star game, and I would like to give you a little more insight as to how players did from a statistical standpoint. But it is an All-Star game, and you take things, for what they are. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun game. Again, it's an exhibition. You don't really go in too far on taking your, thoughts one way or another on some of these guys because we already knew going in.
This is from McDonald's, Blake.
Yeah, well, it's just
give us a box score, guys.
That's all I want, and that's all. I don't think it's asking for too much, but it'll probably be on the website by the time we do this, and it'll make me look silly because maybe that's what's going to happen. They're gonna see this and they're gonna put it up on the website and they're gonna say it was always there. You just couldn't find it. So, anyways, I mean, Arkansas, I thought, look, for non-Arkansas fans who watch it, I'm sorry. Like, they've been the theme of the past, several weeks now. And clearly their trio that was in this. And, Alabama had some guys that didn't play in this one, too. I think it was who played. I'm trying to think of this off the top of my head. Again, it'd be great if I could see this on paper, but Miller played. But
we're off to a rousing start here today.
Well, it's just, again, I think it should be much more simple for me to find this, but I could give you a lot more reference, and that's what we try to do. We try to give you all the insight, but yeah, so Brandon Miller played.
This for our neck of the woods?
Yes, he did, and I think that's right. I'm trying to think now. Like, I'm even questioning my own watching of the game because I don't have a layout to look at here. But so I thought there was a lot of things you could take away. Like I said, you had some of Alabama's guys didn't play. Bradley didn't play and all that. But I mean, this is one again where you just see the raw talent on display, and Kentucky's got guys in there too. Case and Wallace, I thought looked really good. As you would expect. Of course, Livingston is also going to Kentucky. And so you look at guys like that, but, man, I tell you, we talked about how big Anthony Black's commitment was to Arkansas, and my goodness, this guy's he's got a lot of skill. And you could see that here, just sort of that effortless. We always talk about that as one of the things. I mean, you could really see that stand out here, 6'7" point guard. Again, not a game where defense is necessarily the focus, but there's a lot of things about his skill set you can see that are just going to be really hard to stop in college basketball. And, I thought Nick Smith, again, no surprise, right? Like, this guy's just – those two playing off of each other, wow. Like, it could be something. And I'll tell you this, Chris. I saw this yesterday from my friends over at Heat Check CBB where I did some, work in the past. They put out there way, 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 way too early. Top 25 for next season. And again, way early because we got transfers, we got all kinds of stuff still to get to. The number one team in the country is on their preseason top 25. Way, 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 way too early.
Arkansas.
Wow. Because I mean, you think about it, and they've got the projected 2022-23 lineup. That's Anthony Black, Nick Smith, Devontae Davis, Jordan Walsh, and Jalen Williams. So. If that's a starting five next year, holy cow!
Is there any thought of Williams going pro?
I don't know. Again, I'm leaving any opinion out of this stuff right now because I have no idea how this is going to play out, and that's why it's way, 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 way too early. But I'll tell you this, Jordan Walsh, he was probably seen as sort of the third guy of that group for Arkansas in that game, but I tell you, I still came out pretty impressed with Jordan Walsh in terms of like he's got a really dynamic sort of skill set. Seems to me that he'll be one of those really versatile players that'll do a little bit of everything. Still needs, a little bit of polish, but I think that's where Muss will come into to play there and put him in the right spots to have a lot of success. But I still think he's got a really good game. I saw some people that are a little down on him after watching that last night, but I didn't really come out that way. I thought that you could just see the talent on display for sure. So that was the Arkansas side of it. Like I said, I mean, Kentucky, you know what you're getting with those guys. We talked about Wallace and Livingston, and again, we didn't get to see all of Alabama's commits there. But just as a note too on that heat check CBB way too early. Kentucky was 7, Alabama was 8. And that was assuming that Bradley and Miller would start for Alabama. Of course, Wallace and Livingston would start for Kentucky. If there is a thought that looking ahead and who could come back and who doesn't. That makes it so hard. So please don't run away with the way too early top 25. I support those guys because they do a great job over there. But even they admit it is way early for this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean the McDonald's All-American game. Yes, people want to know, right? And I think the McDonald's All-American, if you didn't get a chance to see it, like, and let's say you got it on the DVR or something, go back and watch it because it's pretty fun just to see all the talent on display. And again, it's not a game. I'm gonna laugh at myself. It's not a game you're looking at the box score after, really trying to get too much out of it. But unless you're people like us who are trying to look at it more as a reference than anything. But yeah, a lot of great players. Dariq Whitehead, oh my goodness, Duke's got a pretty good player coming in, I'd say. He was something in this one. Of course, Whitmore looked great. Villanova commit. So, yeah, a lot of talent on display there. So if you're an Arkansas, Alabama, Kentucky fan, you watched that game last night, you probably came out feeling pretty good about some of the guys you're going to be bringing in next season.
Yeah, I got asked on radio yesterday who I thought would be a factor in the league next year. Those were the 3 names I named off the top of my head too. So I'm glad that wasn't a terribly stupid answer because I had not given any thought to it before then. I'm guessing Tennessee would be in the top 25 somewhere too.
They've got Tennessee at 22. They've got Auburn at 16. And those are the SEC ones. Because again, remember, their transfers are going to determine a lot of this. This is going to change by the hour. But yeah, it is. Again, I think it's interesting and at least worth thinking about because really I was thinking about those 3 teams because again, they're represented in this game and we know what this game means every year and we know the types of players. More often than not, when you got guys in the McDonald's All-American game, they're going to come in and have a chance to be huge playmakers right away. Not everyone will. It might take a couple years, but yeah, you've got a chance to put these guys on the floor right away. And I think again, that's kind of what I was thinking of with Alabama, Arkansas, and Kentucky is just that trio of teams. What is the outlook going to be? A lot of that's going to be determined by who comes back and all of that stuff we know, but transfers will be a big part of it too. But that's my expectation right now is those 3 are going to have a really good shot, I think, to be at the top of the SEC next year. But again, that's looking at it and not knowing whether Auburn gets a big-time transfer, Tennessee gets big-time transfers, or really even some of these other teams, towards the bottom. And we can, I guess, let's just transition into that, because I think some of those teams, right, that we don't have no idea what to expect from next year. LSU's one of them, but
yeah,
we're already seeing, and what did we say on the video on Tuesday was,
watch out for Murray State kids.
Murray State's got 9 kids, I think, in the transfer portal right now, which that's another discussion. I'm sure if you're a Murray State fan, that's
got to be heart-wrenching.
It sucks because you're a win away from the Sweet 16 this year. You lose your coach, and now basically your entire team's transferring, and you got C. Prom coming back in, but it's the nature of where things are now. And I know there's some people that will stand on both sides of the fence of that one. Whether they like it, whether they don't like it. But yeah, LSU already gets one from Murray State, and that was Justice Hill Juice, who I think there was a 3rd leading scorer last year, 13.4 points per game, 5.1 assists. That was in the top 35 nationally, his assist numbers. So there you go. There's a backcourt leader. And remember too, LSU's lost Xavier Pinson, Adam Miller, who missed, the entire season. Adam Miller would have been maybe their best player this year, perhaps. So they've lost both those guys in the transfer portal. So I think this is probably one of, I mean, I think we just have to assume at this point, this is going to be one of at least a couple Murray State guys that are going to go to LSU. But I like the fact that he's going there because he's a really, really good player. And yeah, I mean, if you're Matt McMahon, the familiarity of having a guy like that in the backcourt lead the way, that's going to account for a lot, I think. So that's one of the big ones, I think here, recently. Um, there's some others that, again, Murray State have to, I mean, really, and I don't mean that like, I think 9 players are in there now if they're top 12 or whatever at this point. So who are the other ones? Let's see. I mean, KJ Williams is in there. So, oh my goodness, like if he were to land, and I have no insight on this. So, I mean, that's another one where if he were to land at LSU or something, I mean, it's just, my goodness. So, yeah.
Blake, how often, because it seems like you see this every once in a blue moon, how often does when a coach leaves, he's got to go play a game in his old building? I mean, it seems like every once in a blue moon you see that. That'd be a very interesting tie-in. Like, okay, you leave us for a bigger school, you take recruits, you've got to come play us or something like that. I wonder if you ever see anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I'm sure, stuff like that you always kind of
Although
think
that could get unfairly ugly for a coach too.
Yeah. We usually see it right whenever, like, if a coach leaves, because I mean, it's a different situation, but like the Vanderbilt Valpo thing when Bryce Drew left,
that went away.
Yeah, that went away, and I think you see kind of that in other instances too. I think more often you want to avoid that as much as you can,
Right.
At least early on. I think because again, there's a lot of fresh emotions.
You don't want a Chris Beard bus scene.
Yeah, you just don't want stuff like that. And that's why I think if you have something like that again, which we're not even talking about the player aspect, but I think you try to push that as far in the future as you can. And again, who knows if the coach is still there by the time it plays out. So that's the big one right now. I think transfer wise, like we said, we expect more to come. Not really. I think we covered most of the ones yesterday where things stood, but that was a big one, and that's a storyline to watch. I think the bigger storylines to watch right now, and there are so many different guys out there that, and I saw people asking this in the comments, what do you think about this guy coming to this place or this guy coming? No idea. These are guessing games for the most part now. I think when you look at it, to be honest, I think the bigger storylines right now, if you want to just do it from an SEC standpoint, who else from Murray State could follow? I still think the Xavier Pinson and Missouri thing is interesting. We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's one. I really think it is. It's looking at some of the new coaches. I mean, Lamont Paris has got his work cut out for him with all the guys transferring from South Carolina. But again, could that be a good thing? Could that be a bad thing? Yeah. So those are the bigger storylines now, and inevitably there will be some big players that are landed here around the league in the next week or so. So.
Anything else on the portal before we move on to A&M advancing to the finals in the NIT?
Yeah, A&M. Well, we said, I think, look, we just kind of looked it out, balanced out yesterday and said, hey, there's a great chance A&M's going to win this tournament. And it won't be easy against Xavier, but they looked really good. I'd say this right now. If you watched that game last night, which I know it was going on during the McDonald's All-American game, and probably not everyone, you talk about programming, right? That's where the NIT is. It's having to counter the McDonald's All-American game. But, I mean, I think I saw one of the best defense possessions I've seen all season in college basketball in that game last night. A&M just defensively, man, they were A&M. And, I mean, I think Washington State only shot 35% from the floor, 7 of 29 from 3. And there were just some of those defensive possessions. They forced a lot of turnovers as usual. I think Washington State had 17 turnovers. A&M led by 27 at one point. I mean, they were cruising. But they had a defensive possession where, I mean, it's like one of those, if you're a coach, like Buzz Williams, that's a memorable thing for him. And one of the defensive possessions they had, it was just, you had a lot of pressure out on the perimeter. I'm thinking of how it played out in my mind. Forces Washington State to take a bad shot. Then you got a guy that basically boxes his guy out to the 3-point line, and he falls on the ground, dives after the ball after he's done this box out. That's just purely, technical box out. Dives on the ground, knocks the ball away. Another teammate dives on the ground, knocks the ball off a Washington State player, goes out of bounds. And I mean, it's just like the place exploded. Madison Square Garden just going nuts over a box out and a loose ball. I mean, that's what, like, Buzz Williams, again, I mean, you talk about ecstatic. I mean, he had to just be thrilled with how they played defense in this game. So, yeah, this looked like an A&M team that looked like an NCAA tournament team to me, but maybe I'm biased. They looked really good in this game. So I think this is one, where, man, I mean, I think they're in a really good spot. Give Xavier credit, because again, we know the coaching change, that can be a difficult thing, as we know. But I mean, I think A&M is just on a mission here, and I think this is going to be one that they play tomorrow night, championship game. Yeah, this to me, this is like a team that's just on a mission, and they've got everything going for them right now. So.
Well, for those of us who were watching college baseball last night and not watching the NIT or the McDonald's game.
What are you doing with your lives? Come on.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I did look at the box score, and there was an interesting thing that popped off the page there. I'm going to see if you can see where I'm thinking. I'll give you a real easy clue. I'll bet you we talked about 100 SEC players during the course of the season on our shows, and I don't think this guy's name ever came up.
Manny Obaseki.
Yes, who was a borderline 5-star recruit, right on that 4 to 5 threshold, I think. Played really well for them last night.
Yeah, didn't play much, really. I said he didn't play much until kind of that late stretch where he started getting more minutes down the stretch there, and what do you know, right? They started winning, and I think they talked about that on the thing last night. Like, Buzz just kind of went back to the drawing board after, I think it was the loss to Auburn. Wasn't that like the last of the, I don't know if that was the last of the 8-game losing streak. I can't remember, but somewhere in there where they had the loss to Auburn in there or something, and they kind of went back to the drawing board. And really, when you look at his minutes since then, like, he's played more and more minutes, and he's been a big part of their run here when you think about it. I mean, you look at, like you said, I mean, he's been a kind of a catalyst for what they've done in this now. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, man. You got to think about, like, they're not just winning these games. I mean, really, let's think about it. They beat Oregon Alcorn State by 12, Oregon by 15, Wake by 15, and that game last night, I know it winds up being 16, was not that close. Again, they were up 27 midway through the second half. Like, they're just taking it to teams, and so he's another one added to the list. I mean, I tell you, that's where, if you want to know kind of a coach's, what he can excel at, like, Buzz Williams excels at a lot of things, but getting his team motivated for these kind of scenarios, we saw what he did in the SEC tournament. Now look what he's done for a team that just got screwed out of the NCAA tournament. And again, they're not just beating teams; they're beating teams. Like, they are on a mission, and hopefully that means they'll have an opportunity to finish it off. Because I would love to hear the Buzz Williams, Quentin Jackson post games after they win the NIT, because I think they'll have a lot to say to the NCAA tournament committee on that one. So.
Yeah, I think they might. A word from our friends at Stakes. You can wager on sports and win NFTs without risking any money. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, Stakes is the wagering app that's casual, social, made for all sports fans. Whether it's by yourself or with friends, experience the thrill of sports betting without needing to worry about losing your hard-earned money. Sign up, use our code Southeastern14, join thousands of other sports fans playing with Stakes. And let me emphasize, no cost to sign up, no cost to bet, no cost for anything ever. It's free, it's fun, and we hope you're on there. But if you're not, get on there, use our promo code, and help us out, help them out. I really enjoy what they do, and I think it's going to grow and be a thing that you guys who haven't tried it will like too. Blake, any final thoughts?
No. Yeah, just again, always something happening in basketball, and of course you guys have baseball covered. By the way, I think we're doing our first baseball Twitter space tomorrow night,
yes,
Thursday
yes,
night.
we are.
So if you're SEC baseball fan, be sure to follow either of us, me or Chris or William, on Twitter at SEC Baseball. And yeah, we're going to do a baseball space tomorrow night. So hop on in, send your questions, thoughts, comments, all that stuff. You can hop in there and join us. So
Yeah, and I think we'll do that through William's account at SEC Baseball, which has like 23,000 followers. It's massive, so that could be a lot of fun.
yeah, you'll be able to follow again. Even if you follow Chris or I, you'll be able to see us in the space, and of course I'll retweet everything and share and all that good stuff. So yeah, there you go.
All right, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll see you again on Thursday.